Probably one of the last questions people ask me is whether there are subsidies for the production of photovoltaic power plants. In the countries where we operate, there are no direct subsidies for the production or construction of photovoltaic power plants, but such subsidies do exist at the level of electricity purchase. Because the state can decide where to provide incentives, whether to give you money to build a photovoltaic power plant or to stimulate by guaranteeing you a fixed purchase price for the electricity. For us as producers, both options are acceptable, but since the costs of building a photovoltaic power plant are already so low, they are really very attractive. Just for comparison, in 2009, 1 megawatt cost 4.8 million euros, whereas today it's almost down to 500,000 euros. So we're talking about 10%. That is a tenfold decrease in the cost of construction or in the actual production or creation or building of a photovoltaic power plant, which is a dramatic leap. It's only thanks to the fact that money was invested and money kept being invested, and as a result, the technology keeps getting lower and lower and lower, and the prices are becoming more accessible. So now it doesn't make sense to lower it any further, and even if we were to reduce it tenfold again, it probably wouldn't make much of a difference. And even though I think it's no longer possible to reduce it tenfold, that's already happened and it won't happen again. But what is possible is to provide manufacturers with some certainty in terms of knowing that when they build the project, they'll be able to sell it at a fixed price, let's say for at least 5, 7, 10, or even 15 years. And that's very attractive for manufacturers because they know that when they build it or when we build the power plant, we'll know that we'll be able to sell it. And for us, that's much more motivating to build those power plants, those photovoltaic power plants, because it really can happen that in the short term, let's say in the next 10 years, it could happen that for 2, 3 or 4 months, the price might, for example, drop below 30 euros. At that price, the photovoltaic power plant is already at the break-even point, or the return on investment becomes so unattractive that it no longer makes sense to build it. If you also had it burdened with a loan, you even risk having to bring money to the bank yourself in order to actually be able to repay the loan, given what the power plant produces. So from a long-term perspective, if we look, for example, at pricing policy or at the prices for which energy was sold annually in the solar sector, we're talking about the fact that it rarely dropped below 40 or 50 euros. Therefore, our projects, we've calculated this internally based on the cash flow and forecast we've made. Even if the price were around 32 euros, we still wouldn't have to bring money to the bank because the project would still be able to earn enough to sustain itself. Precisely because we're in a region where production is much higher than in Slovakia. In Slovakia, I think the threshold is somewhere around 45 euros per megawatt hour, where you already have to start bringing money to the bank, and at that point the business really becomes risky. That's why such an incentive from, let's say, the Croatian government, which offers a purchase guarantee, is very interesting for us, and we are happy to take advantage of it.